Hello everyone. I'm going to talk to you about my peeps today. This is Andrea Dillard. I'm going to start with my father's side, Michael Crawford Sisson. My dad grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and he did not graduate high school, but he did start a very successful pressure washing business until he was physically disabled by several heart attacks. Those heart attacks were linked to his exposure of Agent Orange in Vietnam, in the Vietnam War. So my dad had a lot of physical condition related to that, and also emotional, like PTSD related to that as well. Anyway, I'm going to quickly touch base about my grandfather on that side, Ernest. He did a lot of genealogy research, so I know about a lot about the history on my dad's side of the family because of years of extensive research. And this is before the internet or ancestry.com, so he really dove into this and researched a lot of it. Um, Ernie is what everyone called him, and he was born in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Most of his family, James Henry, Mary Elizabeth Shook, that whole side is from Blue Ridge, Georgia. None of them graduated high school. In fact, my grandfather did not graduate high school. He dropped out um, and when he was 13 and after eighth grade, or 14 perhaps, after eighth grade, and grew up starting his own cable business. And actually, my dad worked with him in that cable business for a while. Back, I just want to note something interesting. If you look back at Mary Elizabeth Shook's mother, Nancy Jane Bradford Shook, she is actually a full-blooded Cherokee Indian, which is very interesting because her name doesn't sound like it. It makes me wonder if her name was changed by her parents or by herself so that she could fit in into white society a little better. But I'm really interested now that I know that to go back and look at her story and see how all of that worked out. So we've got a little bit of Cherokee, tiny bit of Cherokee in Nancy Jane over here. Um, this side of my dad's family was traced back all the way to Jamestown. Um, my grandfather Ernie traced the first Sisson, Thomas Sisson, from London. He signed in to a log when they landed in Virginia. So um, I'm not sure how people traveled. My ancestors traveled down to Georgia. Perhaps some of them were criminals, hee hee. But that is still a mystery to me. So that's something I'd like to look into. Other than that, we're pretty British on this side and my grandmother's side. Just want to talk quickly about my grandmother. My grandmother was a really poetic writer. She actually had of some short stories that she wrote published in Reader's Digest. She was a wonderful musician. She could play anything that her ear could hear. She grew up playing in church. She was pretty. She was a smart cookie. She really was. Um, I'm sorry, my great grandfather, her dad, Jack Walden, started his own hotel. He also would buy and sell cars off to the side. So a lot of small business owners up here in my dad's side of the family. Um, e I just want to say something about Elon, my great grandmother. I knew her very well. She died when I was in middle school, and we would go visit her several times a year. But every time we'd go see her, she would wear her hair up in this large bun on top of her head. And I asked my mom why she had so much hair on her head one day. My mom, I remember my mom telling me this and me being so mortified because my mom said that Elon believed that if you cut your hair, it was a sin. So she every day would wash this long hair that went past her feet and brush it out and pin it up every single day. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, that is crazy. But like the holy roller movement was really heavy in my dad's side of the family, like the Pentecostal holy roller movement. Going down to my mom's side, my mom's name is here. She has a long name. Her side of the family is German, from Germany. My mom actually, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I was the first person to graduate college on my side of the family. After I graduated college, my mom went back and got her college degree in sociology and then got her master's in teaching. So she, in her 50s, did all of that, which is really awesome. Her mother, my grandmother, Grandma Ning is what we called her, Martha Ruth right here. She worked for Chevrolet, but before that, she worked for Radio Free Europe, which is so awesome. And I never knew that until a couple years ago. To me, it's pretty heroic and something to be really proud of in my heritage. So did my grandfather, Melvin. Now, Melvin was an interesting character. He was really educated. He was kind of the like upper class, not upper class, but like okay, so he was 22 years older than my grandmother. My grandmother was his fourth marriage, and he was pretty well to do. He was a producer for CBS, NBC in the west and east side of our country. And then I think he was kind of a jerk. I don't know what happened because they were pretty hush hush about telling this part of his story, but he got blacklisted somehow from the television industry and then kind of settled down with my grandmother and had four babies at the, ripe age of 65. So he is such an interesting character to me. He also introduced Christian Science to my family, not to my family specifically because I'm not Christian Science, but to my mom. And then, so this whole side was heavily influenced by Christian Science. Now, my mom's side over here, my Grandma Ning's side, um, I don't really know about their education, but most of them lived up north, either in Indiana or Michigan. There were a lot of Lutherans on her side, and this is the German side that came from Nova Scotia. So this is the side that my mother researched and had heavy ties to Germany, and their first ancestors on this side were from Nova Scotia. So a lot of European descent on my side. And that kind of touches on some of this stuff in the 8 minutes that I was given. So um, I have a lot of interesting information that I've learned, and I hope that you find my heritage just as interesting as I did. Thanks so much, guys.